0 pitch. There's a high drive, deep left. Back goes Ramos at the warning track, at the wall, gone! And the Brewers win it anyway. Delirium here in Milwaukee, the sellout crowd on their feet, and the Brewers come pouring out of the dugout to jump on the back of William Contreras, who has just hit his 14th home run of the year, and this one is a walk-off. Ramos went all the way back as far as he could go and ran out of room.
Here's your host, Bill Lasky.
Welcome into a Friday edition of Sports Phone KNBR with Bill Lasky as the Giants are on a 7-game road trip, losing 3 out of the 4 against the San Diego Padres. They won Monday and they dropped 3 in a row, and with the loss today, they now have a 4-game losing streak. And it all started on this road trip. San Diego going into there, won 4-3 on Monday. They dropped the next 2, 5-1, 8-1, and then the last game was 8-4. And they had to travel all the way to Milwaukee and face one of the hottest teams in the National League. Matter of fact, the best team in the National League. After the win today, they're 81-48. The only 2 teams that are really close is the Phillies have 74 wins. The Dodgers have 73. Of course, San Diego's beating them right now 2-1, and that could be San Diego with 73. But now the Milwaukee Brewers are no doubt one of the tough teams in the National League, and we've known that. They had a 14-game winning streak in August. But playing at American Family Field, this team has magic, and it happened today. 43 wins, 20 losses for the Brewers at the American Family Field, and today you just saw some of the spark that this team has. Losing the lead in the top of the 9th, tying it, the Giants tied it, and sure enough, it happened. William Contreras got a slider, a 1-0 slider by Rodriguez, and it was up, and he hit it out of the ballpark for his 14th home run, and they walked it off, and that place was packed today. This is what's happening in Milwaukee. This is what happened back in 1982 when the Brewers got to the World Series. This is magical. These are things that happen when a team comes together on pitching, defense, hitting, and their defense is tough. And today, they rallied. They rallied to win that game with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th. But the Giants fought. There was no question. They fought today. This was a very good baseball game fought by the San Francisco Giants. A home run by Willie Adames sparked it, of course, in the first inning, the first pitch he saw. Coming back to a team where he played for several years, a fan favorite, stepping out, taking his hat off, his helmet, waving to the crowd, smile on his face, and the first pitch that Jose Quintana threw, he hit for his 21st home run, 419 feet. The place was crazy. I really think they really enjoyed the home run. Then the next time up, they booed him. So, I mean, it was a welcome back, Willie, and now we're going to boo you. And sure, he hit another one in the 8th inning, his 23rd home run. He's on a home run tear right now for the San Francisco Giants. But the Giants struggled. They only had 2 hits, and both of them were home runs, one by Adames and one by Matos in the first and second inning. And then all of a sudden, the bats got cold. Jose Quintana got 11 of them in a row, 11 in a row, not even a hard-hit ball that fell in. There was a couple hard-hit balls, but some great plays by this Milwaukee defense. And, what can you say about Bryce Turang, the second baseman? Some great over-the-shoulder catches in short right field, short center field, a Gold Glove second baseman they have there. And then the Giants had a little rally going in the 6th inning with a couple walks and hit by pitch, and Jung-Hoo Lee struck out to Shelby Miller's split finger, and the inning was over. The Giants tried to come back again with the home run in the 8th inning after they gave up 2. Lucchesi gave up 2 runs to Milwaukee in the 7th to take the lead. But it all happened in the 9th inning with 2 outs. Luis Matos got a base hit. The center fielder came in, tried to dive for it, Lockridge, and it got under him, and Matos was at second base with a tying run. And, boy, how can you say anything bad about Dominic Smith as a pinch hitter? My goodness, this guy's 5 for 7 in pinch hits. His heartbeat just slows down. His attention, his focus just dies in. And he hit a bullet off McGill off his leg. Still don't know if that ball went up the middle or not, but it ended up staying on the infield, first and third. And what happens? Trevor McGill throws a wild pitch, and the Giants tie it. And you could see the excitement in their dugout. Finally, is going on. Hey, we're back in this game. And it just didn't happen. Randy Rodriguez, as I said, came out in the ninth, punched out a guy, got a fly ball, and the home run ball lost it for the Giants. And now they've lost 4 games in a row on this road trip. 2 more left. Of course, Logan Webb and Robbie Ray will be pitching Saturday and Sunday against the Brewers. But now they're 61 and 68, 7 games under 500, the most they've been that much of a deficit the entire year. 33 games left in this season, and they have to do something to rally the troops here to try to get some wins. And this road trip we talked about last weekend on the Extra Inning postgame show, this week was going to be it. This was going to be to see if they could hang with the big dogs. And, of course, the Padres beat them 3 out of 4. And the Milwaukee Brewers right now took the first game of a 3-game series. So good stuff, too. There was going to be some good play here. I really thought Jose Butto threw the ball extremely well tonight. An inning and a third, punched out 2. Ryan Walker now starting to be that 8th inning setup guy. He really threw well, too. An inning and a third also punching out 2. Joey LaCasey got in a little trouble, then gave up a fat fastball to the guy who hit the home run, William Contreras, for the double. And that was really the punishment that the Giants didn't need in that 7th inning. And the Milwaukee Brewers took the lead. Giants fought back. But the magic is in Milwaukee, American Family Field. I'll say it more and more because this team is really playing good baseball, 81 and 48. So, we talk more about Giants. We talk about what they have, what they can get better at. Of course, today I was impressed with Carson Whisenhunt. Who knows when he got the call after Landon Roop hurt his knee on the comebacker, but he really fought well in this game, going 4 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, and a strikeout. A couple wild pitches hurt him. A walk also hurt him. But I thought he threw well. 88 pitches, 54 for strikes, 10 first pitch strikes for 17 hitters. And then the bullpen came in and just coughed it up in the 1 inning. It's a tough time right now. And we as Giants fans are looking at this going, wow, they can't win. They're struggling. When you start looking at numbers, since the All-Star break, they've only won 9 games and lost 25. They're the only team in Major League Baseball that haven't had double-digit wins yet. The numbers just aren't there. We're just got to pound the numbers and pound how negative it is, and we all know it. I mean, when you're looking at 7 games under 500. But today, I thought they battled. I thought this was really a good Giants baseball game. A couple misfortunes, but still, they fought, and they fought against the best team in the National League. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Logan Webb on the hill against Freddie Peralta. These guys dialed up against each other in April 23rd. And if you remember, in the month of April, the Giants beat the Brewers 3 out of 4 times at Oracle. And Logan Webb threw a gem. He threw 6 and a third, no earned runs, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts. And Freddie Peralta went 5 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs. He ended up getting a loss in that game. So we'll see what's going on tomorrow. But since then, Freddie Peralta's had a great season. He's 15 and 5 with a 2.7 earned run average, one of the aces on their staff, 154 strikeouts in 142 innings. And on the opposite side, Logan Webb has 175 strikeouts in 160 innings. So this is going to be a battle tomorrow. Of course, Logan Webb won his 11th game, his last game against Tampa Bay. He's 11 and 9 with a 3.1 earned run average. So this will be a good game tomorrow. It should be just like today. And we'll see if the Giants can get this offense rolling. Of course, we've been talking about the dilemmas with the offense and too many strikeouts, too many guys left on base, and all the little things that we have just kept harping on. But tonight, I really felt the Giants played a good game against Milwaukee, and we'll see tomorrow, first pitch at 4:10. 808 KNBR, if you want to get on the phone lines, let's talk some Giants baseball on a Friday. I'm Bill Lasky. This is the KNBR Sports Phone KNBR show, and we'll be right back right here on the Sports Leader.
Giants fans, this is your hub to have your voice heard. Sports Phone KNBR. Streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
So now Adames stands in. He hit his 20th home run as a Giant yesterday in San Diego. Here's Quintana throwing. Swing. And there's a high drive. Deep left. Way back there. Goodbye. And now they're not cheering so loudly. They have a little bit of a different reaction. He has just launched one, a spectacular home run to left field. And the Giants have a 1-0 lead, the 21st home run of the year for Willy Adames. Wow.
That was one of the coolest moments of the year. The standing ovation. Give Nick Lentz, home plate umpire, credit. He shook Willy Adames' hand. He stepped out in front of home plate. He let the standing ovation eat. William Contreras, the catcher for the Brewers, did the same thing. Let him soak it in for a minute. Then he goes deep.
Back on Sports Phone KNBR with Bill Lasky, John Miller, and FP Santangelo. What a great call by both of them. With a home run by Willy Adames, the first ball he saw, you know, it was just a miracle, really. It's one of those things you never think could happen, and one of the memories he will have the rest of his life for playing with the Brewers, a very fan-favored player, and he steps in the box. You know his heartbeat was racing, and I said it earlier, he took his helmet off. The place was standing ovation, and what does he do? He cracks a 419-foot home run in the upper deck in left field, and that's magical. That's just baseball. That's the fun part of that. I mean, it's so difficult to play against a team you played with for so many years and you were successful, and he thought about it. He was flying from San Diego thinking about everything that was going to happen when he came on that field, and today he hit two of them. He went to left field and one to right field. So it was a good night for Willy Adames, but again, the Giants lost 5-4. A tough game. They fought back, but a home run in the bottom of the ninth, a walk-off home run by William Contreras, and the Giants lose 5-4. All right, let's get to the phone lines. Got a full line. Let's go to Leighton in San Francisco. How are you? You're on with Bill Lasky on Sports Phone. What's going on?
Hi, Bill. How's it going?
Well, it was a good game. I really thought the Giants played well today. I really thought they battled back to this game. It was just a tough walk-off home run they had to walk off the field with as a loss.
Absolutely. And that defense took away, like they were saying on the postgame show, took away three possible hits from Heli Ramos. So, you know, what are you going to do about that?
You know, Leighton, the Milwaukee's got a good club. They've changed some faces. They got some young players in there. You know, Yelich isn't even playing anymore. He's DHing, and he was one of their best players in the outfield.
Yeah, well, they're 60-23 for a reason. But I want to talk to you about Carson Whisenhunt. I mean, you're going 4 innings, throwing almost 90 pitches, getting fatigued in like the third. I mean, and they're sitting changeup. Even though the changeup was good today, they're sitting change all the way. And then, I mean, that 2-pitch mix is just, I feel like it's not setting us up right for the rest of the series.
Well, he's got a 3-pitch mix. He's got a slider in there. He only threw it 10 times. You're absolutely right. The changeup 34 times, the sinker 44 times. They fouled off a lot of pitches on him. They fouled off a lot of good pitches. If you remember in the second inning, Frelick fouled off 12, or he threw 12 pitches. 7 of them were fouled off before he got a 6 unassisted double play. He had a lot of long innings when you look at pitch count. 14 in the first, 20 in the second, 29 in the third, 25 in the fourth. And a lot of that was because there was a lot of deep counts. A 3-pitch mix is good enough, but I'm right there with you. I think a curveball or a cutter or something else that he can throw a little harder at times would offset. But he just started throwing the slider this year. So he's kind of learning when to throw it. You remember he threw one right over to Bailey's head, a slider that got right off of his hand. But you absolutely said it right. He was fatigued. You saw him sweating, perspiring a lot. His face was just dripping. I just don't know how warm and humid it was there. They said the roof was open. It was pleasant. Maybe just a little stress for the kid.
Probably so. And, yeah, that slider, I think he definitely needs some more confidence. You know, I guess most of us are already looking ahead to next season. So that could be an off-season thing.
He's
but,
a good mix. He's only 22 years old, so he's a young kid, right? 24 years old. And he's just that was his fourth start in the big leagues. And when you look at who he pitched against, the Pirates, the Mets, Washington, and now Milwaukee, he is getting his feet wet. He's learning a lot about the big leagues, and they're going to need him. You know, they don't have a starting five, so he's probably going to get another start or two down the road here.
I mean, I definitely want to see him again. I'm not saying that I don't. I just think slider definitely.
No, I know that.
Definitely got to get behind that slider
I
more.
think that's a concern. I really think that's a concern also. I think they know that, and I think he's trying to create something. He's trying to get confidence in that slider, and he needs to throw it more. And if you get a good grip on it, he can throw it. But he's still, trying to learn when to throw it and when Bailey puts the number down. When you're looking at 88 pitches, and you're absolutely right, he only threw it 10 times, so as a hitter, if you're hitting off of him, it's either going to be a sinker or a changeup. And I think that's what they sat on a lot, and that's where they got the deep counts and fouled a lot of pitches off. But we'll find out. I think he's going to be okay. Learning tools, getting out there and throwing, and to throw against this good team and still only give up a couple earned runs and a couple of them off wild pitches. I think you and I are both, happy with what he did, but he could get better. But thanks for the call. Let's go to Adam. He's in Oakland. Adam, you're on with Bill Lasky on a Friday Sports Phone. How are you?
Oh, thanks, Bill. The Giants have lost 4 in a row, Bill. They're 3-11 in their last 14 games. Cincinnati is 67-61. They're only a game out of the wild card. And Rodriguez is not a closer. He's been terrible since the All-Star break. They should have left him alone.
Who else are you going to put in there? Who else are you going to put in there?
We should have kept our relievers and not traded them, and we should have added people.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Because he was more comfortable down there with Duvall.
No,
Duvall,
I don't agree with
that.
I think they did the right thing. Look what Camilla's doing in New York. He's struggling. He's struggling big time. And what they're doing is they're trying to get Rodriguez to fit that role. He's a young kid. He's learning. You don't think he's got good enough stuff to be a closer?
It's not that he doesn't have good enough stuff. It's just he's not a closer right now. He's more comfortable in the seventh inning.
No, he's not ready. He's immature
maybe
yet.
you're okay.
He's learning it. He's learning it. But who else is there? There's nobody else. Ryan Walker again? I think Ryan Walker's the perfect setup guy in that 7th and 8th inning. They're going to try Rodriguez the rest of the year and see if he can maintain it. I mean, today he hung that slider, no question. He went 1-0 and he tried to throw a snapper and he got it up. But in time, I think he will be fine, but these are all the growing pains, and I know Giants fans don't want to hear that, but sometimes you got to learn when you're out there, and I think that's what we're watching with Randy Rodriguez. Some days he's going to be outstanding. Today, one pitch, and he lost the game from it.
I know, Bill, and then we're thinking about what they're doing right now, and next year I predict the Giants will lose 100 games. I do predict that. I predict that Marlins are going to be better. The Pirates are going to be better. Cincinnati is going to be better. St. Louis is going to be better.
And so will the Giants. The Giants will be better also. But thanks for the call. Let's go to Dom in San Francisco. Dom, you're on with Bill Lasky on a Friday Sports Phone. How are you doing tonight?
I'm okay. I'm just so disgusted for this whole year. What happened to us, man? I really don't know what to tell you, Bill.
Yeah, we got on a pretty high there, Dom. We were going pretty good up until June 13th, and then from June 13th, it hasn't been good. 21-39, and the team just fell apart. And no hitting, some pitching kind of fell back, and now we're looking at a team that's 7 games under 500. So. The ship was sailing pretty good, Dom, and all of a sudden a couple holes got in the ship, and we're treading water now.
I just hope they can get it together next year. You know what I mean? I just hope they get it together.
Well, you still got 5 weeks left to see what they can do. I'd love to see some of these young kids play a little bit more, get some feet, like Luis Mato. See if he can swing the bat like he did today, and in San Diego, see if he can get hot. See what we can bring out of him. A young kid that we've been talking about for many years. Let's see what he can do on an everyday basis.
I just hope they they should pick up a few more bats and some pitching. That's what they need to pick up.
I'm right there with you, Don. They got to add some parts. They got to add some pieces. They got to get rid of some pieces, and that's what all comes down to it after the season's over. When it gets in those October meetings, that's when all the scouts and the front office and Buster Posey and the coaching staff sit there, and they have a whiteboard with all their names on it, and they just dissect it from first day to the last day, Dom, and that's how baseball starts when the off season starts. But, Dom, keep your dauber up, buddy. Don't be so down. This will get better. We all know it. So thanks for the call, Dom. Let's go out to Berkeley and talk to Andrea. Andrea, how are you on a Friday night?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. Back on radio for the weekend, and this is going to be a tough series, but Milwaukee's a good team, and I'm excited to kind of talk about them because this is a team. I don't know if they're going to get into the playoffs and go deep. I don't know if they're just a team that's hot during the season and can they turn it on in the playoffs. But they got a very good team, Andrea. They really put this team together, and they're playing good baseball.
Yeah, it was, nice to see them, because I don't usually see too many Brewers games, so I learned quite a bit. And to take a page out of your playbook, be positive, and fellow Virgo, Willie Adames, 2 home runs, and right on the cusp of his birthday, Bill. He's born September 2nd, 1995. So he's having his Saturn return of increased ambition. He got that huge contract from the Giants.
He's getting hot.
I think the largest
He's getting
in
hot.
history.
A couple more home runs, and, he's up there with home runs with all-time shortstops. And I would have loved to have seen this earlier in the year when he was slumping, when everybody was putting a knife in his back for, what was he, 0 for 22 at one time or something crazy like that. And, now he's hitting the ball better. He's going the opposite way that we've been talking about. And I would love to see a little bit more out of some of the veterans. Matt Chapman's going to be back in the lineup tomorrow, which will give him a little spark. I just wanted to see him better baseball. Today was much better to watch him. It was an exciting game, I felt. The Padres series, it just felt like they were just rolled over. The Padres just steamrolled them. Today, I thought they fought all the way down to that last inning.
Yeah, they did, and it was just, he's a Virgo. He can be really critical of himself, and all that pressure signing a 7-year, $182 million contract, so the largest in Giants history. So baseball is special in that way. The Brewers fans, first they gave him a standing ovation. Then when he hit the home run, not so much. But
then they booed him.
Right?
I thought that was hilarious when they booed him the next time. And you could see him laughing in the batter's box. That's what the smile on his face, he just started cracking up. And he goes, hey, all the fans love me, now all the fans hate me. But that's baseball, right, Andrea?
Right. He took it in stride. And we have the new moon in Virgo tomorrow, which is new beginnings. So I just feel positive, and I think that, that really was a very baseball-y thing to have the home run applauded and then the second one not so much. But it was nice to see him hit
Well,
that.
you know what? It was a good baseball game. That's how I'm, taking this tonight on the post-game show. It was a good battle. The Giants fought all the way to the 9th inning and fought when they only had, at one time 2 hits, and they were both solo home runs. And then the third home run, and they only had 3 hits. And you're wondering, how come we're not hitting tonight? And so many guys took 0 for 4, 0 for 3. Jung-Hoo Lee lost his 10-game hitting streak. So they have to turn it around, and it all turns on with offense and good pitching and some good defense. And today, the defense hurt them again.
Yeah, it was close in the 9th inning. It was pretty exciting there. It's just the 1-run losses are a little hard. But it was just really nice to see, Adames being applauded. And even if he was booed next, baseball is really special. He took off his cap. I just love seeing those moments.
Well, Andrea, thanks for calling in on a Friday. I'll be on all weekend. You'll be hearing me doing the post-game shows. Got some great interviews coming up for the weekend. I'll announce those as the show continues. But thanks for calling in, Andrea, on a Friday. Appreciate it. We're going to take a quick break on Sports Phone KNBR show and come back with more calls. I also have Steve Kroner coming on later to analyze the game, talk a little bit more. Of course, we will be talking about his Cal guy, Andrew Vaughn. I know he'll be bringing his name up because that's the bear in him. But other than that, we'll talk more baseball. I'm Bill Lasky. This is the Sports Leader.
Giants fans, this is your hub to have your voice heard. Sports Phone KNBR. Streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
Stepped in the box and launched a second deck home run. Now he drives one deep into right field. He has done it again. Adios, Pelota. Straightaway right field and over the wall and back into the seats beyond the beer garden out there. That's a long opposite field home run, and that makes it a one-run game. The Giants' first hit since the second inning. 4-3 Milwaukee.
Welcome back, Willie Adames.
Here's your host, Bill Lasky.
Back on our Friday edition of Sports Phone KNBR. Giants on a 4-game losing streak. They're going to try to fix that tomorrow. First pitch right here at 4:10. Logan Webb against Freddie Peralta. Logan Webb 11-9 with a 3.19 earned run average. Against Freddie Peralta 15-5 with a 2.7 earned run average. Freddie Peralta has been pitching extremely well for the Brewers. He's won his last 3 games, beating the Cubs, the Pirates, and Atlanta, and only giving up 1 earned run in 17 innings. So he's on a roll. Of course, Logan Webb, his last outing, he pitched very well. He threw against Tampa Bay, only giving up 1 earned run, got the win. He also threw against the Pirates the other day, 2 starts before that where he went 6 innings, no earned runs, no walks, 10 strikeouts. So it's going to be a good battle. They faced each other April 23rd back in the day when the Giants took 3 out of 4 from the Brewers. And Logan Webb got the win in that one, 6 1/3, 6 hits, no earned runs, 3 walks, 6 Ks. Freddie went 5 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. So tomorrow, back to a battle of the right-handers. Put it that way. I would think they're both probably aces of the staff, and we'll find out tomorrow. See if the Giants can pull a win. 4-10. The post-game show. I'll be doing the extra inning post-game show following that. I sat down with Christian Koss this week. Had a real nice conversation with him about some of the things he did. From when he pulled his hamstring, going back to Sacramento, the battles he had to do out there and come back up. And also, it was his last homestand. He did pretty well against Tampa. And we talked about the sun at Oracle Park. Some really good conversation with Christian Koss about defense and offense and some of the ways he thinks going into the box. And then the second interview I have is Mike Felder. Mike Tiny Felder, I should say. Tiny Man. Of course, we remember him with the Giants. He won the Willie Mack Award. I do with it was 92 or 93, but we don't forget this. He started out with Milwaukee, played 10 years with the Milwaukee Brewers, came up through the minor leagues. Had a nice sit-down with him about the Milwaukee organization and how he got through the organization and got to the big leagues. And he ended up playing with Robin Yount and Paul Molitor and Rob Deere. Of course, he was an ex-Giant. So I'll have both those interviews on tomorrow after the game. Now on Sunday, some cool interviews also. I sat down with Dave Greshner. He's the head trainer of the San Francisco Giants. Been with them over 30 years. Hasn't done an interview in over 15 years. So I really sat down with Dave and we talked about everyday life of a trainer, everyday life of a head trainer, things that you wouldn't imagine what they do every day. 12-hour days turning into 16-hour days, all the travel they do. So it's a real interesting conversation I had with Dave Greshner. And then the Milwaukee Brewer himself out of Sacramento, Greg Vaughn. He's on the wall of fame for the Milwaukee Brewers. Had a great career over there. And, of course, he grew up here in Sacramento. So those 4 interviews coming up on the Extra Inning post-game shows this weekend. All right, let's get back to the phone calls. Let's go to Gene in Roseville. Gene, you're on a Friday edition of Sports Phone with Bill Lasky. How's your Friday going?
Hey, Bill. Yeah, I've been following the Giants since '47, so I've seen a lot of ups and downs. But I wanted to mention with Rodriguez, I'm looking at the same thing that happened to him that's happened with the Atlee Hamaker curse. And it just seems like the more we keep running him out, the more he keeps looking like Atlee Hamaker after the All-Star game. And I'm
Gene, I'm going to stop you right there, Gene, because I played with Atlee for those years, and I understand what you're saying, giving up the Grand Slam to Fred Lynn in the All-Star game. But a lot of fans don't understand. 2 days before that All-Star break, he threw 10 innings against the Cincinnati Reds and threw over 100 pitches. He went out there with guts. He went out there saying, I want to pitch in the All-Star game. He had nothing. He had nothing that day, but he went out there and fought. And everybody remembers that. The second half wasn't as good as the first half that he had, but he still pitched pretty damn good. So I understand how you want to similar Rodriguez to Atley, but I'm going to argue with that because Rodriguez is a young kid learning the role of being a closer. Look at his numbers. He still has a 1.6 earned run average. So we see a couple of the bad pitches he has, but what about all that first half when he was punching guys out? What about when he punched the side out? So you can't just put one little microscope on one bad pitch. The kid's got a lot of talent.
Well, no, I'm just sort of, just wondering, with him blowing a few of the things, his confidence. But anyway, let me just change one other thing. I just wanted to mention something on Bob Melvin.
Sure.
Get your opinion,
no
whether it's a concern or a coincidence. The second year he was with San Diego, they fell apart, and San Diego was happy to let him out of his contract to go to the Giants. Here we are in the second year of him doing the thing, and then the Giants are falling apart. Are we looking at a coincidence or a concern?
I'm not gonna stick up for Bob Melvin like he's the greatest manager in the world. But I'm going to tell you right now, they love him in that clubhouse. They admire him. He's one of the hardest workers in preparing a team. The falls that he has had, you're right. They're not good. They're not good things for managers, and everybody wants to blame the manager for everything. And there are certain things you have to blame Bob Melvin on. But you also got to look at all the talent that's on this team that are not even hitting 240, 230, 220. The main guys, when you're looking at Devers, Adames, Chapman, even Ramos, these guys should be playing a lot better, and they're not. Is that Bob Melvin's fault? Would you agree it's Bob Melvin's fault, or do you think it's a player's fault?
No, I just wanted your opinion to see it.
No, I'm just asking you, Gene. What do you think? Do you think
that's all?
No, Gene. Gene, let me ask you. Just answer me. Do you think it's more players' fault that they're falling, or do you think it's Bob Melvin's fault? I'd love to have your opinion.
No, I think it's more the players' fault. I mean, I just really just sort of think that it was a little bit hard to think about how good they were going to be when you start the season with 7 of the same guys in the lineup that finished below 500 the year before, with only really Adames really being the only acquisition since then. And I just think that it just caught up. I just don't think that they just have the right players. I think they played well.
Let me throw this one to you, Gene.
Heads,
any ideas, Gene? Any ideas who you'd rather have as a manager? Any thoughts?
No, I don't.
Names?
I enjoy having Bob Melvin as a manager. I think he's a good manager. I think that he may have to do a little bit of reshuffling on the staff. My only concern about Melvin is the fact that do some of the younger players really listen to somebody that's older?
It's tough. It's tough with the mixture. Gene, it's tough with the mixture of the young players coming up and learning from the older players when the older players are scuffling. And you start looking at some of the numbers from Matt Chapman. He was like 3 for 48 with runners in scoring position. How are you going to go up to talk to him when you can't get a hit with runners in scoring position? Some of the older players need to lead by example, and I don't think that's what's happened this year. And it does fall on Bob Melvin. It does fall on the coaching staff. It does fall on the front office, but it also falls on the players. And I think that's where the whole group needs to regroup and figure out how we're going to get better. What's the next steps to get better? What are some of the players that you want to trade or possibly add on? Those are the things that you're going to have a lot of meetings on, and they probably have a lot of meetings right now going on to see what's in the minor leagues that could get an opportunity at the big league level. But, Gene, you know what? It's so much harder in that dugout to try to get a win and watch what we're watching, and players aren't playing like they can. And it's always great to have somebody in there to keep that group together. And so far, we haven't seen much, arguments, fights. We haven't seen a lot of that. And I think that's where Bob Melvin and his staff have kept this team focused.
let me end by the way saying that, during my 78 years of following the Giants, I did see you pitch, and I really, really did enjoy the time that I was fortunate enough to be there in person to see you pitch. So
I appreciate that, Gene, and I appreciate you calling in when I'm on. Please call more, and love to have your opinion as well as my opinion, and that's what talk radio is all about. But thank you for calling in on a Friday night. I appreciate it, Gene. Let's go to Nick. He's in Sacramento. Nick, you're on a Friday Sports Phone with Bill Lasky. Tough loss today, but I thought the team played pretty well.
Bill, I would agree with you. And the saying, I'd rather be lucky than good. They were both today, but the Brewers just had it a little bit more.
Good team. I mean, I haven't watched the Brewers all year. I've been watching scores and watching box scores, but this team is deep. I just don't know how deep they're going to get into the playoffs and how good they can get to the World Series. You see these teams like this, Nick, and you see how these runs go, and they're 81 wins. They'll get to 100 wins most likely. But what happens when that bell rings when the playoffs come? And some of these young guys start choking, and some of these older guys strike out and miss. And that's when you really find out how deep this team is and how good this team is. Right now, they're the best in the National League.
Right. The thing that I was calling about was when you see Contreras, and I know he had the home run to end the game, but when you see him struggling behind the plate and you have walks, and you need to take advantage of his mental errors today. The fact that I only saw really one base runner try to go, and he got thrown out at third, so be it. But you got to take advantage of a mental error when somebody's behind the plate like that, and he can't frame a pitch, and he can't call, and he can't catch it, can't throw it down a second. You got to take advantage of that, and I was a little disappointed.
Right now, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in the Giants not stealing more bases. We heard this out of spring training from Bob Melvin and the coaching staff. We want to run. We want to get going more, and they're in last place. They're 30th in Major League Baseball, and right now they only have 56 stolen bases. That's not a lot. And then you look at Milwaukee.
You would think for a team like this, you would be able to do it.
You would think they would get going
today.
A little bit more. Yeah, and you look at Milwaukee, they got 138 stolen bases. So see the difference? 138 to 56, and they're second under Tampa Bay. And they didn't try to steal today. I was waiting for Turang to take off, and he never did. So they're gonna take off in the series. This team runs, and they run a lot.
Well, and I would like to see, I don't know if you know the numbers, but the stolen bases the Giants have, what's the attempted number? Do you know?
I did write it down. I think all I wrote was 56 stolen bases. They got 78 errors. That's another thing that I'd love to talk about. They're really making a lot of physical errors right now. And you look at Milwaukee, they only have
the physical errors
errors
you can get away with if you just put them behind you and keep going. But when you sit on them,
well, some of those throws are offline. Even Casey Schmidt, some of the throws that he threw to Devers today, Devers tried to scoop that one ball up. I'm sure Dominic Smith would have scooped it. It's just some of the fundamentals that Devers is doing at first base. The chopper over his head, he couldn't get his glove up high enough. You're going to run into these mental and physical mistakes with Rafael Devers at first because he's not a first baseman. He's learning the position. Has he gotten better? I think so. Can he be a first baseman? He was a third baseman, so you would think he could be a first baseman, but he's got to get comfortable out there. When you see Dominic Smith out there, the guy's relaxed as anything. Hit the ball to me, I'll catch it. Dominic Smith has just got my attention so much this year from the pinch hitting and the defensive side, and they need to keep him for next year.
And I'll go. I know you got a lot of people on the phone, but I just want to go back to one of the callers was basically just saying the Giants are going to get terrible. That's not a good outlook. You got to be somewhat positive, right? I mean, think about it.
Well, you
These
do,
guys
and
are
you
young.
know,
I know you have,
It happens, fans do, get upset, but you just can't come out and say they're going to lose 100 games next year. Come on, that's not a Giants fan in my mind. That's not a Giants fan looking for the future. It's just a Giants fan, if he is a Giants fan, that just wants to stab us as Giants fans if he's somebody else. And I know the caller, and all the time he calls in and throws numbers of how negative they are, and ever since Devers got here, here's the numbers. We all know that. We all know they're not a wild card team. We know they're not going to win the division, but we got to have hope here, and we got to look at what they have here. And you talking about it, me talking about it, it does manufacture some thoughts about next year. Luis Matos, this is the guy we've been waiting for to play, and now he's starting to hit the ball. Hit a ball in San Diego, hit a couple balls. Today hit a nice home run ball. His defense is a little sloppy for me, but again, he's getting an opportunity, and I think that's what we want to see in Giants players, getting opportunity to see what they have for the future. Bryce Eldridge would be great to come up here, but I just don't think they'll bring him up. I think he will take the full year in AAA, and we'll see what happens in spring training. He is the light at the end of the tunnel for Giants fans, but we need pitching. This pitching staff has gone backwards, and I thought this pitching staff was full in the beginning of the year. Now they're scuffling. They're scuffling to even get 5 starting pitchers now. So it is tough right now, Nick, but at the same time, I'm right there with you. Let's play game to game and see the good and see if we can fix the bad. I think that's all we can do.
Thank you.
Yep, appreciate your call. Let's go to Rick in Hayward. Rick, you're on a Sports Phone Friday night with Bill Lasky. How are you, my friend? What's going on?
Oh, I'm all right. How you doing tonight?
Today, I really thought that was a good baseball game the Giants played. You know, there was some bad and good. There was some good and bad, like I'm saying, but they played one of the toughest teams in the National League, and they could have probably won that game. They didn't, but it was still a good game.
So how do you call a game where the team only gets 3 row hits a good game?
I don't. 3 home run balls? 3 home run balls?
3 home run balls.
11 up, 11 down?
3 home run balls. 3 home run balls. A play where the guy falls in center field. He should have just played that as a single. And then a ball that kicks off the pitcher. I mean, I think it was a good pitch game. I think it was a good overall good try, but to only get 3 hits. I mean,
well, I'm just looking at at them coming back in this game, fighting like they did. They could have rolled over like they did in San Diego when they lost 5-1, 8-1. The bats just fell apart. Today, I thought they had a little more life. Willie Adames got a little more energy in the dugout. This is a team that's going against one of the power teams. They just lost 3 out of 4 in San Diego. Now they got to play a better team than San Diego. Overall game, they battled, and I think that's why I said it was a good game.
Okay, I can be behind you on that. They did. They battled. I agree with that. They came back in the ninth inning. I think Mata's at bat was a good at bat where he reached out and made contact and got a good hit there, and then he stretched it into forced the issue. Just like he forced the issue, even though he was out at third base. That was a good play.
He stumbled. That's why when he slid. Did you see him slide? He stumbled and he couldn't get to the bag. It was brutal. I bet you he just felt like, wow, my feet fell from underneath me and the dirt stopped him. And I don't know what Matt Williams was saying about check it out. He was out. There was no question. But he tried. You know, he tried to get up and go. And sometimes it's good hustle. Sometimes it's false hustle.
He hesitated at second base. If you watch the play, he kind of stopped and looked back. I don't know if he knew where the ball was at in comparison to where he was. And then I guess he picked up Matty and then, you know, what was.
Well, the other thing, too, is strides. You see his first couple of steps, they looked like he had 10, 15 steps before he finally got his stride going. And I think that's when he should have just stopped and went back to second. You had a good point there because he looked at the ball trying to pick it up, and he wasn't even in the right direction to go to third, but he tried it, and he gave it an effort, and it didn't work.
Okay, I'm the one that calls and gives you the stats.
I know you do.
I've been negative about the team.
I know who this is, Rick. I know what you can do. I know all your stats.
Okay.
I know you're going to
flood me with stats. I'm not going to do that tonight.
And I'm fine. I'm fine with it.
I'm not going to do that. I'm going to bring up something that your second to last caller brought up. The gentleman that's been watching the Giants since '47. He brought up something that is crazy perception, but it's perception, and you hear it over and over. The Atlee Hammaker situation, when he gave up the home run to Fred Lynn, and then that ruined his career. I mean, that's ridiculous. How could it ruin his career? I mean, the same thing is happening now with Rodriguez. The Giants, for some reason, Giants fans, and I find this with Giants fans a lot, they get something in their mind and it just goes. It's kind of like with Farhan. Does everybody really think Farhan came in 6 years ago or 7 years ago now and wanted the team to be bad? But here's the perception out there. He was a Dodger infiltrator that came in to ruin the Giants team, and as soon as they were ruined good enough, he just crawled back to LA.
Left.
I mean,
he went right back to LA.
I see that. I see this more and more on Facebook pages all the time, and it's like, you got to be crazy. But that's the problem right now. You have, and I totally
People
agree
think that
with
way,
you,
though, Rick. People think that way.
I know.
They get that perception, and that's what they believe in. And that's where,
I know.
You know, I'm telling you what I believe in. You're telling me what you believe in. But it's good talk radio. I don't cut people off, and I think that's opinions for everybody. But that's your opinion. If I can say something different to argue with you, yeah, I'm going to. Just like I told him, nobody remembers how many pitches Atlee threw the day before he went to the All-Star game. I did. He was in Cincinnati. I was watching him. He threw 10-inning game. Go take a look at it. When you go take a look at that All-Star game, look at his last start. He threw over 120 pitches, and he still went out there, and he still gave it his best, and it didn't work.
Well,
but people don't know that. People don't understand that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, here's the main reason, long-winded, the reason I'm calling
ahead,
this.
Rick.
People are perceiving that it's on Melvin. They're perceiving it's on the hitting coaches. They're perceiving it this. They're getting this in their mind. And you know what? The what you said, 21 and 39 since that Friday night Dodger game in LA where they won is not helping Bob. The 8 and 22 at home isn't helping Bob. But you know what? Nobody's talking about the fact that they're what are they, 23 and 40 since Matt Chapman hurt his hand in that slide back.
How about 9 and 25 since All-Star break? That's the number
that I keep
adding.
That's another one.
That's the tough one. That's the tough one, Rick.
And that's where I have to look at the team. And I hate to say this because I don't come on here and say a call for Bob Melvin's head ever. I don't do that. I totally agree with you. It's on the players. But at a certain point, you can't fire 26 players.
I agree. You can't fire players.
And the problem that Buster has is he can't trade any of the 6 top players.
No. No.
Those
contracts are yours.
From a position of weakness. You know, everybody thinks it's going to be, he'll be able to turn it around next year. Well, okay, how do you turn around that you're stuck with 4 players that are underproducing this year, that are making mega bucks, over 56% of the team's total salary for next year? Then you got Ramos, you've got Schmidt, and you've got Bailey making minimum wage that are pre-arbitration and aren't making anything next year. They're going to be on the team too. So you're literally talking about a right fielder, and you're talking about a DH and maybe a third
catcher,
starting pitcher.
Got to get another catcher. Got to get another catcher.
Another catcher. But that's an extra. I'm talking about
those are minimal salaries. You're absolutely right. So how do you turn the switch on these 4 or 5 guys, though? That's the whole key, Rick. How do you turn the switch and say, fellas, you got to be better leaders. You got to play better. You got to hit better. You got to feel better, and you got to be all together as a team. That's the difficult part when you got all those contracts and everybody's playing and everybody's not producing. Now, if 3 out of the 5 guys produce, it's a whole other story. But when they all don't produce, this is why you look at 7 games under 500.
Well, Bill, there's an easy answer. I don't know if it ever happened to you, but you go in and you change the dynamic in the room, and the only way that Buster can do that now is unfortunately to change the manager, I think, and not
you got to change the voice. You
manager.
Change the voice, unless unless what you hear from Elliot Ramos, you hear from Matt Chapman, you hear from Logan Webb. All these guys like that chemistry of this coaching staff. They like Bob Melvin. That's what us fans, and as me as an analyst, I can't walk in that clubhouse. I only can go in there when the media comes in. When those doors close, we don't know what's going on in there, and those players aren't going to open their mouth and tell us, because that's what they call family. That's what you call a team. That's what you call teammates. That's what you call coaching staffs. That's what you make as a team. Those are the guys that fly on the planes. Those are the guys you go to battle with. And if they're all coming together saying, we want to take this on again and battle next year with everybody we have, with our same coaching staff, with our same manager, how are you going to argue with that?
Well, I have an answer for that. When you see attendance drop back down because fans don't believe in the product that's being put on the field, or the management isn't doing their job and trying to make the team better. Why do you think people complain and cry all the time that they want?
Yeah, you might see that in September. Yeah, you're right, Rick. I mean, you might see that. But you might see it in September, like it always does when you're losing. But look what they just did in the month of August: 40,000, 38,000, 40,000 every weekend, and the Giants fans are like that. They love to come out to Oracle. It's a beautiful ballpark. It's just the team has not been playing well at Oracle. So you just got to keep playing and punching the numbers. You got 33 games left, and you got to keep playing hard. And I think that's what you and I and every Giants fan want to see. And that's maybe what I should have said today instead of said they had a good game. They fought hard in this game. Even though they had 11 up and 11 down in the middle of the game, they still battled at the end. And I think that's what we have to look at, Rick. I'm not going to roast this team anymore. I'm not going to roast a manager or Buster Posey. There's no need to. But if we can look at this game and dissect the game and look at good and look at bad and what could be different, I think that's the only way we can put this season rest for 33 games.
True. All right, Bill. Thank you.
Well, thanks, buddy. I appreciate your call. It's always a pleasure, Rick. And give me more numbers next couple weeks. All right. Let's go to Bert in Hawaii. Bert, talk me good, Bert. Give me a good aloha story.
Yeah. Hey, hi, Bill. Thank you very much for taking my call. And,
thanks for holding on for me, Bert.
Yeah, no, actually, like I mentioned a week ago, I'm in San Diego. So I got to see 4 of the Giants games against the Padres. And, the games wasn't that good. That Robbie Ray game, the first game was awesome. And
the first game they won 4-3. Great game.
Yep,
Great game.
Yep. And then, it's exactly what you said. I mean, it's not a time to knock on the Giants and stuff. I got to admit, I mean, the Giants were playing hard. It's just that San Diego was better. San Diego was better than the Giants. The Giants was playing hard, and you just leave it at that. What can you do, right? I mean,
Well,
so
you start, Bert, you and I have talked about this, Bert. When you look at rosters and you look at comparisons and you look at the lineup, they can't compete against those teams. They're not as strong as those teams. Just look at Milwaukee. I don't know anything about Brandon Lockridge, but he's one hell of a good center fielder. I don't know anything about Sal Frelick, but I tell you what, the kid had some great at-bats. Learning about new faces and new teams like this, they impressed me today. And then I start breaking down the numbers. They're 3rd overall in Major League Baseball with a .259 batting average as a team. Mm-hmm. That's impressive right there. And then the stolen bases, 138 stolen bases. I didn't know Brewers were that good. Did you?
Yeah, no. I mean, that's why you see all these other teams. And again, I was in San Diego, so I just feel so blessed to get to watch the Giants play, because I normally, like I said, I only can listen to it on the radio and stuff. So so it was just. But I just wanted to give a couple observations. First of all, and quickly. First of all,
Take your time.
No, okay, Luis Matos. I guess he came in yesterday, was his first game back, and I didn't realize his stance is real. And I'm not a baseball expert or nothing. I'm just giving my observations. He has a wide stance. And then I realized today on the radio that he said that's a new stance. but he's got
Yeah,
a wide stance, and
it's a little wider. It's a little wider, but his hands are back.
It's real wide.
And in the dugout when he hit the home run, Damon Minor, and you didn't watch it. Damon Minor and him were talking about where his hands were and where his approach was, and he felt like you could see that Damon Minor said that's exactly where you have to be with your hands cocked where it is, and then you approach. And he hit another ball to left field today to the warning track. And then he got the base hit to center field, so maybe the new approach with the hands back and a little open stance, he's hitting the ball better. I just want to see him play a little better defense. I think he's a sloppy outfielder. I don't like the one-hand grabs by the hip for fly balls. The ground ball that he missed, he was watching a runner before he picked up the ball, made that bonehead move down the line in San Diego that cost him a run. I think he needs to concentrate on defense a little bit more.
Yeah, no, but again, that wide stance, I thought that was terrible. But again, I'm not a baseball whatever. I just thought
something's working.
Going to be able to hit.
Yeah, Bert, something's working where he's keeping his hands back, and I think that's the key to that. Maybe he was opening up too fast.
We'll see, but I mean, I look at that thing, I'm like, that ain't going to work. But we'll see. Anyway, a couple other things. Christian Koss. I mean, I know you said you're going to be interviewing him.
I got a great interview. I really sat down, talked a lot of things with him, and just learning the game of baseball. And you know this, Bert. When you get sent down to AAA, it turns into a mental game because you're looking at the guys in the big leagues and wondering how in the hell am I going to get back up there? And it's a grind. It really is a grind. Tyler Fitzgerald is the same kind.
Minor point about Christian Koss, and again, this is just nitpicking stuff, and this is things that I got to see at the game. Coming before the game, he puts his glove on his head, and he's walking around with the glove on his head, and it's like, I just think that's so.
Minor league,
anyway,
little league, league.
Yes, exactly. I'm a Christian Koss fan, but it's like, goodness gracious.
Yeah, show yourself as a big leaguer. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
and you're seeing it as a fan, so. Yeah. It doesn't look professional either, and I'm right there with you, and I don't even think he probably thinks it that way.
Yeah. I know, and so again, but that's and then my last comment is just I mean, the one thing I didn't like, Verlander, he is done, and it's time to pass it on to Birdsong, and I mean, no matter. The Giants will.
Bird, I'd like to say Hayden Birdsong's the next guy up, but Hayden Birdsong is getting worse in AAA. He's walking a lot of guys. It's not looking good for Birdsong. It really isn't. Yeah, I don't think you're going to see Hayden Birdsong in the big leagues this year. It just has not gone well in AAA that they thought would maybe click the switch and get him back. I think he'll probably end up in AAA, and you'll probably see Carson Whisenhunt get a couple more starts. We just don't know about Landon Roop with the bruise on his knee, how long he'll be out. They have to get some starters, and I don't know where they're going to get another starter from AAA. I don't think Highway Tang's going to be back.
Yeah, but Verlander, I hate to be like that, but Verlander, the Giants played sloppy yesterday, but Verlander didn't help any
No, I'm right there with you. But he's gonna get his starts. He's gonna get his innings. He's gonna go out there every fifth day. He's gonna collect his $15 million check, and he's gonna ride out of here with a Giants uniform. And that's probably where it's gonna end because I just don't see him in the future for the Giants.
And one final thing, Bill, before I leave, and I agree with the previous caller about Gene. It's just that the Giants over the years haven't been good, but I always remember you as being a fierce, intense competitor, and you did well for the Giants, and I always respect that because, even the years that you were pitching for them, the Giants team wasn't necessarily that good, but you were always solid, and you might have been there only a couple of years or so, but I always respect that for you, and that's why I
appreciate that, Bert. I appreciate that. I was a battler. They didn't score a lot of runs for me either, and that was the problem. We didn't score a lot of runs for any starters back then. But you know what? It was a time in my career that I got to the big leagues. I fought as hard as I could to get my 6 years in. Never thought I was going to be a big league pitcher. It was a dream for me, Bert, just like every little kid that's watching Little League or going to the World Series in Little League. You're dreaming about one day, and I got over 6 years. And sure, I'd have loved to pitch 10 years. I'd have loved to have been a Hall of Famer, but those things didn't happen. But to pitch in the big leagues, to pitch for the Giants and still work for the KNBR and talk about Giants baseball, I'm a blessed person, and I thank you for asking and talking about that. And you know what? That's the best I can do, and I hope Giants fans just like what I put on radio, and I'm an honest person when I see good and bad.
Yep. Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it. You have a good night.
Bert, you take care in Hawaii, my friend. It's always a pleasure talking to you, my friend. Take care of yourself. All right, coming up next, we're going to talk to Steve Kroner because it's getting late, and I know he might be falling asleep on me. So Steve Kroner coming up next right here on the Sports Leader.
Giants fans, this is your hub to have your voice heard. Sports Phone KNBR. Streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
3-2 pitch. Swing, and there's a drive into left center field, hit really well. Way back there, and adios, pelota! A home run out into left center field, into the Giants bullpen area, and it is 2-0. So after his double and triple yesterday, Matos has quite an at-bat, and on a 3-2 pitch, he drives one over the wall, his 6th home run in the big leagues this year.
Here's your host, Bill Lasky.
Back on Sports Phone on a Friday night. Giants lose a tough one to Milwaukee. First game of a 3-game series, 5-4, a walk-off home run by William Contreras off of Randy Rodriguez, and the Brewers get their 81st win on the year. Boy, oh boy, it was loud, it was proud at American Family Field, and the Milwaukee Brewers are having one great season. A lot of new names, a lot of new faces, but at the same time, they're playing good baseball. All right, my guest, Steve Kroner's coming on. Of course, you can read him at Associated Press, and also, we all know he's a Cal Bear at heart. What's going on, Steve? How are you?
Bill, I'm doing okay. It seems before 10 o'clock. I'm not quite ready to talk ball with you, but we'll see if we can muddle through it.
Well, you know, baseball is always highs and lows, right? And Willie Adames, boy, he came up at that first at bat, Steve, and that was a baseball moment.
That was very cool. Yeah, whether you're a fan of the Giants, fan of the Brewers, just a fan of baseball, that was pretty cool. And you know, give Contreras credit, too, on that. I don't know if you noticed, but he stepped in front of the plate basically to not let the pitcher get going, to let Adames enjoy the moment. I thought that was a really nice move by Contreras.
I think the umpire did something, too. I think he kind of walked out front also. But you know what it does? It brings the life of the fan back to Willie Adames. All the fans, all the signs were out there for him. He was signing autographs an hour before the game. He was a very big fan favorite in Milwaukee, and why wouldn't he be? His smile on his face, he's always talking to kids. This is a fan favorite, and he'll be a fan favorite with the Giants if he's not already. But that's that moment when you go back, and it's a moment for a player. And I was saying this early, flying from San Diego into Milwaukee, he had to be a little nervous, anxious, didn't know what it was going to be like. And I wish they would have showed us the video that they gave him. We never got to see it, and I would love to see it because they always generate something and show the player when he comes back.
Yeah, those things are usually pretty well done. I'm sure the Brewers put a lot of thought and a lot of heart into doing a video for Adames. Bill, let me flip something to you a little bit. You know, I'm an old guy, so I like history. Tuesday will be the 40th anniversary of what significant event in Bill Lasky's career?
I probably pitched against the Giants when I was with the Expos.
That's exactly it. It kind of dawned on me watching Willie Adames. Now, you pitched in Montreal, so it wasn't quite the same thing. But for a guy
and you know what, that whole game, you know, Steve, you're absolutely right. That whole game was, I was thinking about that probably just like Willie Adames. And Chili Davis was one of my best friends, and he was one who hit the home run off me. Dan Gladden and everybody else, oh, we're going to take you deep, we're going to knock you out, all this. And Chili was the one that hit a slow curveball out. It was tough. It was tough to play against the team that you started with. It was tough to pitch against your teammates, your friends. Willie Adames said the same thing. And on a post-game show, he just says it was just tough to look at my fellow teammates, and I'm playing against them. One thing that I saw, and maybe you saw too, he was wearing a yellow sleeve that he used to wear with the Brewers. Did you notice that?
I did indeed, absolutely, yeah. Which, put it this way, he wears a purple sleeve a lot anyway, which doesn't quite go with the Giants' orange and black. So in some sense, what difference does it make? But obviously, that was a nod to the Brewers fans, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Hey, Steve, I want to just thank you for saying 40 years ago. That was really nice of you to do that to me.
Well, I was I think, like a 4 or 5 year old watching the game.
Oh, yeah, okay. And, my producer Kyle is sitting in that booth right now laughing at 40 years. Kyle Haar is just laughing.
I do know Kyle.
Right now.
Kyle Haar was hitting some really long drives a few days ago when we were playing golf. He can hit the ball pretty well.
He will probably clip that and play it as the show ends. He'll do something about 40 years to me.
He ought to. But here's one for you. Now, really going back, Bill, you know what happened 60 years ago today in Giants history, which is a very memorable day, not only in Giants-Dodger history, but just in baseball history.
Go ahead. Tell me that one.
It was the Juan Marichal, John Roseboro incident.
Oh.
In fact, to show you how old I was, I was 5 years old, sitting in the upper deck along the first base line with my dad, God rest his soul, and saw the Marichal-Roseboro fight.
Boy, that was ugly. That got real ugly, and a lot of players were fighting, and it just was not good for baseball. And you know what? They became very good friends. You know that. Yeah, and the of course, the guy who was the peacemaker one of the things I remember, again, I was 5 years old, I don't remember a lot. I remember my dad telling me that Lou Johnson, who was a outfielder for the Dodgers, he was throwing haymakers. And Willie Mays, God rest his soul, apparently was the peacemaker. He got to Roseboro. I don't know if he got to Sandy Koufax or not, but Mays was the man who put out. Wow. I mean, it was an ugly scene. Let's not minimize. I see a lot of, they don't have much video of it, do they? I mean, it's black and white. I know that. They don't really show a lot of it. I see a lot of pictures of it. The still pictures I've seen. Have you seen any kind of video on it, Steve?
Possible. I can't say for sure. I will say this. Dusty Baker, when he was the manager of the Giants at Candlestick, he had that classic photo that shows Juan, great man, obviously
fantastic
a Hall of Fame
person.
Pitcher. He had a bad moment, but there's a shot of, you can see 27, Juan's number, and he's got a bat raised, about ready to hit John Roseboro over the head. Mm-hmm. And then you see number 26 also with a bat. Now, number 26 didn't use the bat, but it's up there. And when I was in Dusty's office sometime in the mid to late 90s at Candlestick, who walks into the office that time? It's Tito Fuentes. And Tito says, look at that picture. Do you see me up there? And, hey, I was a Giants fan as a kid growing up, and I knew Tito was number 23. I said, Tito, you were 23. You weren't 26. He said, that was my first weekend in the big leagues. And when the picture came in the paper the next day, I asked the Giants if I could change my number because I didn't want the Dodger fans to know who I was.
That's great. That's great. Tito was there. Jimmy Davenport was in that dugout.
Yeah.
Because during fantasy camp, they brought a couple of those questions up, and they both talked about it and how all the players just ran out there and holding each other and swinging at each other. It was an ugly brawl, but that's 60 years ago, huh?
60 years ago today. And the Giants wound up winning, of course, who else but Willie Mays hit a 3-run homer. And Ron Herbel got the win, and Masanori Murakami, the first Japanese pitcher in the bigs, got the save.
Steve Kroner joining me on Sports Phone KNBR tonight. Let's talk a little bit about this Giants game. I do want to talk about Andrew Vaughn, of course, the Cal native that's just turned his career around from the Chicago White Sox, now playing with the Brewers, having a great season and really turned it around, putting a new uniform on. Did you get to watch him at Cal a little bit, Steve? Did you get to watch any of his career back then?
Oh, I watched quite a bit, and Bill, be honest, I've watched Bay Area college baseball, again, for almost 50 years. So I'm not going to say, Andrew Vaughn was the best college hitter in college baseball over the past 45, 47 years. But I'll say this, Andrew Vaughn was the best college hitter among Cal and Stanford players over the past 45, 47 years. And that's a lot of really good players. You're talking Cal, you're talking Jeff Kent, and you're talking Kevin Moss, and you're talking Marcus Simeon, and you're talking, Xavier Nady. And if you're talking Stanford, you're talking Jed Lowry and Jeffrey Hammonds and David McCarty and Carlos Quentin. Andrew Vaughn was the best college hitter in the Bay Area in the last 45 to 47 years. So, he's been decent with the White Sox up until this season. And let's be honest, this season he wasn't even decent. It's amazing how good he has been with the Brewers, considering how bad he was with the White Sox.
It's totally different. It's 100% different the way he was hitting in Chicago and now he's in Milwaukee. How do you get from the White Sox, and you're batting fourth now for a team that's got 81 wins if you haven't turned it around? And the RBI, he was an RBI machine for the first couple weeks.
I mean, here's his numbers up to date that I've got. With the White Sox, he had 185 at-bats, 5 homers, 43 strikeouts, a 189 average, and a 531 OPS.
Wow.
With the Brewers, 134 at-bats, 9 homers, 37 RBIs, a 313 average, and a 945 OPS. It's like
beautiful.
Somebody said, well, he's back in blue and gold. That's why he's hitting. But
that's a good one. I like that.
The only reason a lot of guys would do that. But look, the old Bob Brenly game in 1986 when Bob made 4 errors in 1 inning and then wound up hitting 2 homers, including the game winner off of Paul Ossenmacher, if I remember correctly. They were saying Bob became the comeback player of the year in 1 day. Well, Andrew, if you could have a comeback within the same season, Andrew Vaughn would be the comeback player of the year of 2025, and it wouldn't be close.
And, Steve, you always hear these stories where you change a uniform, you get new life. You put a different uniform on, and you put them in a different clubhouse, and you have different players, you have new life. It works with pitching, it works with hitting, it works with defense. Why do you think that happens?
Well, I mean, the obvious one in Andrew's case, he's playing for the White Sox, who are one of the worst teams in the league. So if you're playing for one of the worst teams in the league, no matter how hard you say, well, I'm a professional, believe me, I'm sure I know Andrew just a little bit. I know he's a professional. He's going out there every day trying his best. But losing gets to people. There's no way around it. And, and then you come back to a team, and Andrew went to the minors this year. Here's a guy who was the Golden Spikes Award winner in 2018. He finished in the top 3 of that voting in 2019. He was the 3rd pick in the draft, who's had not a great, but certainly a solid career to this point. He gets sent to the minors, which is, a lot of times that might be the death knell for a career. Instead, he resurrected his career. He was lucky that the Brewers then acquired him. And since he's been with Milwaukee for now about a month and a half, he's been the Andrew Vaughn that I think a lot of us who saw him play at Cal thought he would be.
Now, for fans to understand what the Golden Spikes Award, that is the best amateur player in college. It's one player in the whole United States. And to get that award, I know Will Clark got it, Bob Horner got it, Ben McDonald got it. There's a good choice of some great athletes that played college baseball to get that award. And for him to get it at Cal, that's very respectable.
Yeah, no question. And, and the amazing thing, too, was the following year, a lot of times, as Bill, you know this, for an MVP, not so much for rookie year, but a lot of times an individual award is somewhat tied to the team's success or lack thereof. And Andrew won the Golden Spikes Award as a sophomore when Cal was good, but I don't think it even made the postseason. The following season, Cal had a really good season, and Andrew still made the top 3, and Adley Rutschman from Oregon State was a legitimate winner. But, to win the Golden Spikes Award once, obviously, is great, but to be a top 3 finisher in back-to-back seasons, I'm sure there aren't a whole lot of guys in the history of college baseball who've done that.
Those are things that people don't understand. Fans don't understand what happens in a college life. And the reason why I say this, I interviewed Ben McDonald today. Now, of course, Ben was big time with LSU. I have him for an interview next weekend with the Orioles. He's a commentator for Oriole TV and radio. Fantastic interview. Just one of the good pitcher-to-pitcher kind of interviews. I know you'll like it, and a lot of fans will like it.
Sure.
But the point that he was saying, when he was at LSU, everybody was looking at him. He ended up going to the Olympics and won a gold medal. And he had to go back to college where everybody was going into pro ball. And he said that was the hardest thing for me to do, was to go back to college and pitch, because I knew what I did in the Olympics and I knew how great I was, and I had to go take a step backwards and play. And he ended up, fantastic, 14-4, number 1 pick for the Orioles. I know you remember Ben McDonald. But how he put it, to play at the level in college, and then now you're playing with higher quality kids in college, it is sometimes harder to come back and play with talent that isn't as great as you think you are, and you got to play as well and try to be that extraordinary guy. And for a fact, Andrew Vaughn felt that way.
It's coming back after you're a sophomore and you've won the Golden Spikes Award. Yeah. What more can you do as a junior? But he did well. Obviously, did well enough to be a top 3 pick. And I think, Andrew, most guys who play baseball, which in a lot of ways is an individual sport. In a lot of ways, it's a much more individual sport than basketball and football are. But you're still a team player. I think Andrew. Yeah. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I'm pretty sure about this. One of the reasons I'm sure that he enjoyed coming back for his junior year was that Cal did get to the regionals that season.
Steve, you hear me talk about the summer leagues. They used to have an Alaska summer league for college players. Cape Cod is the best. I ended up playing there one summer, and it is just fantastic. And whoever goes there, and there's so many scouts that come out and watch, because that's the top of the line. You got to get invited to come play there. And to get invited and go there and play, the competition is just one player after another, and you're playing with these small little towns from Chatham, Orleans, Yarmouth, Deneth. There's so many cool cities on the Cape. It's one of the coolest places that you could play summer ball. You get a summer job. They pay you minimal stuff, but you get a host family to stay with you. And you're really learning to play baseball and live baseball by yourself. Because you just said it. It's really sometimes you learn the game of baseball by yourself and how you can manage it. And people don't understand, when you play at a top level like that, and then you got to come back, and I just said it, you come back and you play with maybe talent isn't as good as you, but you got to represent yourself and you represent your team. That's what makes a team. That's what makes a player as a teammate. And that's what really shows me a lot about players when they have to do that.
Yeah, and speaking of players and your teammate, I heard earlier in the show some people questioning or knocking Atlee Hammaker. And Atlee, I would be way overstating the case to say he and I were good friends, but I got to know Atlee a little bit when he was with the Giants, and I really respected him. And I think it's been, and I even did this was years ago, I did a Where Are They Now story on Atlee. I think he either had four or five daughters. Atlee was a great basketball player, and he's something he already had a basketball team full of daughters. But the myth that the Fred Lynn homer ruined his career, the myth ruined his career. And the thing is, it didn't ruin his career. Now, Atlee had arm problems. People forget after the 83 season, he was out for about the next two, 3 seasons.
That's shoulder injury. Did.
But he came back and had 3 not great seasons. I mean, he was as good the first half of the 83 season. Atlee Hammaker was as good a starting pitcher for that stretch as maybe the Giants have had in a long time. He was great.
I agree.
Now, he didn't ever get to be
nasty.
He didn't ever get to be that good again. But he had 3 solid seasons, I think 87, 88, 89. If the Fred Lynn homer had completely ruined his career, there's no way he would come back from all the arm problems he had and have the solid next 3 years he did with the Giants. The whole thing about the Fred Lynn homer ruin his career is a myth, and that gets my hackles going a little bit, as you might hear.
Well, I told Kyle that I'm going to look it up, and I'm going to put a damn index card in front of me because I know what he did in Cincinnati before he went to that All-Star game. I know he threw 10 innings because Gary Lavelle was going to the All-Star game, and we were both around his locker going, you can't pitch. You just threw like 120 pitches. And you know, remember the Croy to Candlestick pins? They had them on their hat when they played in that All-Star game.
Yep.
But, it was just something that he wanted to do, and he wasn't going to say no to it. But, Atlee is one of my best friends. I talked to him briefly here and there, but as you said, a big family, lives in Tennessee, very spiritual man, but a good guy and a good friend and a good teammate, and he was good for the Giants.
Yeah, again, I got to know him a little bit, a big fan of his, and I remember him when I was doing the Where Are They Now story. This was a long time ago, but he said, the Fred Lynn homer. He said I really washed off my back. He did say, beyond that, the Jose Oquendo homer in the 1987 Game 7 of the NLCS. Said that one still hurt. He said that one, if he had something if he could do over something, that would be the one he would do over. He said that, the Fred
that was
Lynn
St. Louis. That was a tough game because I remember Mike Krukow and Atlee were talking about it. Both of them were saying that Roger Craig wanted to pitch Krukow, but then he went and pitched Atlee. And it was a flip-flop, and a lot of guys questioning that. And Atlee ended up getting a loss in that game. He didn't pitch well in that game at all.
No, and again, I mean, we all have things we regret in life, and then Atlee said that's the one. If he had to have something back, that would be it. But not the. I mean, look, Fred Lynn hit a lot of homers off a lot of guys, and Atlee was good enough to be in the All-Star game. That's it's no more or no less than that. Jose Oquendo didn't hit as many homers, and obviously Game 7 of the NLCS is a much, the All-Star game back then was probably a bigger deal than it is now, but it's no way is the All-Star game as important as Game 7 of the NLCS. So Rattley said, if I had one to do over, that would be it. But the myth of Fred Lynn's Grand Slam ruining Attlee's career is just that. It's a myth.
A few more minutes with Steve Kroner, my good friend, on Sports Phone KNBR Friday night. So the Giants have to take a 4-game losing streak into this game tomorrow. Logan Webb on the hill, Steve, against Freddie Peralta. They faced each other back in April. Giants were hot back then. Now, the Brewers are a little hotter, but Peralta and Webb should be a good matchup tomorrow.
Bill, at this time of the year, do you think Logan Webb getting the extra day, having Carson Whisenhunt start tonight, which originally was Logan's start, do you think that extra day is going to help him?
Yeah, I do. I really do, because he's been going every 5th day. I noticed that, too, because I thought he was supposed to pitch today, and they gave him an extra day. And same thing with Robbie Ray. They pushed Robbie Ray back also. Right. So I think you might see this a little bit more with both of these guys as Ace 1 and Ace 2 having fabulous years, and they're going to probably space them out a little bit. I think we might see Carson Whisenhunt a little bit more now because Hayden Birdsong has not thrown a ball well in Sacramento, and you just got to fill in 5 spots. So we just don't know when Landon Roop's going to come back either, Steve. It's a bad bruised knee, and they're not going to push it. There's no question they're not going to push a young man like that. They're going to piece this thing together, and I think that's what we're going to see in the starting rotation.
Yeah, and look, as you just said, Bill, I mean, this Giants season has gone from promising to disappointing quickly and dramatically, but Robbie Ray and Logan Webb have been about as good as you could hope your top 2 starters would be. So whatever they can do, they being the Giants and the front office and Bob Melvin and his pitching coaches to, not necessarily make everything easy for Logan Webb and Robbie Ray, but to give them a break here and there, I think that's all. I think that's a wise decision.
Yeah, so do I. Steve, thanks again for joining me tonight. Great conversation as always, and I always appreciate your time on a Friday, and it's not as late as we usually talk.
No, but I might or I might not give you a call in about an hour and a half. We can tell some more Atlee stories.
Well, I just want to thank you for giving Kyle Har some ammunition for me. I know I'll hear it somewhere down the road, but I appreciate that, Steve.
All right. Very good.
All right. Thanks, Steve. All right. We're going to wind down the Sports Phone KNBR show on a Friday night. The Giants lose a tough one, 5-4 against Milwaukee on a walk-off home run with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th inning by William Contreras. He hit that off of Randy Rodriguez. Tomorrow, the Giants will have their first pitch at 4:10 right here on KNBR. Logan Webb against Freddie Peralta. It should be a good matchup of 2 aces, and the extra inning post-game show with me will follow, so we'll talk more baseball after tomorrow's game. I want to thank my producer, Kyle Hart, also Steve Kroner, for a great conversation with me, and I want to thank Giants fans for listening in. Like I said, I'll be on all weekend on the extra inning post-game show. Be safe, be well, have a great rest of the Friday. More coming up right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.